Welcome to Oopsie Archive, the place where history's greatest empires, generals, kings, and conquerors all have one thing in common. They screwed up big time. From wars started by pigs and pastries to emperors who self-destructed their own dynasties, we dive into the hilarious, horrifying, and downright head-scratching mistakes that changed the world. Because let us face it, history isn't just written by the victors, it's rewritten by their catastrophic fails. So buckle up, the past is full of bloopers. This is the Oopsie Archive. And today we're looking at friendly fire, empires that destroyed themselves. Rome wasn't built in a day, but when Rome was destroyed, it only took 2 guys with axes. Well, actually 3 if you count Mark Antony. But really, all you need to know about Rome's demise is that it happened because one guy wanted to be a little bit more powerful than another guy, except he wasn't even Roman. See, Rome had spent the better part of a millennium being the most powerful force in the Mediterranean, thanks to a winning combo of military might, political intrigue, and infrastructure so advanced the word paved was practically invented to describe them. However, by the late 3rd century AD, a string of weak emperors and overextension had left the empire vulnerable. 2 outside forces which provided the perfect opening for one group of barbarians, known as the Goths, who promptly sacked and burned Rome in 410. In response, the Western Roman Senate made one of history's most baffling decisions, appointing a Germanic general named Alaric to lead an army against the Goths. Now this didn't end well, and while there are several theories as to why, including Germans are pretty bad at war, the simple truth is Alaric's army, upon reaching the Gothic camp, turned out to be 3 parts ineffective to 1 part traitor. Upon finding out Alaric was planning to attack them, the Goths simply opened their gates and let his troops in. The sack of Rome was in retaliation for the sack of their city by Rome, and they weren't about to let these new guys ruin their revenge boner. Thus, after stealing a bunch of stuff, killing everyone who didn't run away, and burning everything that didn't burn itself, the Goths headed home, leaving Rome in ruins and the Western Empire forever diminished. And that's how a whole civilization can collapse, because one senator's like, "EU, Germanic man good at fighting," and another's like, "EU, what if he fights for us?" And then both are like, "Huh, now we're both dead." Meanwhile, in the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire, things were heating up in a completely different way. While their Western cousins were doing a bang-up job of digging their own grave, the eastern half of the empire was going strong until Emperor Leo III came along. Leo III had a lot of problems on his hands, namely rebellions, natural disasters, and the rise of Islam, which led him to do something desperate: declare war on icons. Not like the shiny religious relics, but the images of Jesus and other holy figures that were becoming popular in churches. To be fair, they probably deserved it. But Leo didn't care about fairness, issuing an edict outlawing the use of icons throughout his empire, which predictably unleashed the fury of the Eastern Orthodox Church. For the next 70 years, the empire would be torn apart by icons, with emperors switching back and forth between pro-icon and anti-icon every time there was a change in power, until eventually the consensus was reached. You know what? Let's bring the icons back and also stop killing each other. Too late though, because the damage was already done. Religious turmoil had not only fractured the empire but helped set the stage for its eventual conquest by outsiders. See, while the Byzantine army was busy ripping down holy pictures, the rest of the world was doing other things like conquering half of Asia Minor and North Africa and threatening to take the rest. So when Arab armies entered Constantinople in 700, the iconoclast emperor was forced to flee and the city fell into chaos. A civil war broke out between those who wanted Leo III's son Constantine to keep the family business going and those who preferred a different emperor. And while the latter one, it didn't matter, because soon after, Leo's son seized control of the imperial bureaucracy, got himself proclaimed an emperor, and moved the capital from Constantinople to Nice. As a result, the Byzantine Empire was permanently weakened and was never again able to regain its former power, largely due to the efforts of one man who decided the best way to unite his empire was to make everyone hate art. Back in the West, the HRE or Holy Roman Empire was having its own issues, namely that it wasn't a real empire, more like a loose confederation of states held together by the promise of lots of gold and one guy's dream of reviving Rome. But in 1250, with Emperor Frederick II having just kicked the bucket, that guy, his son Conrad, was eager to get the party started. Unfortunately for him, most of the people he invited didn't get the memo and were like, "Party foul, bro." See, despite being half of an African king's ransom, Conrad had some serious enemies, namely his brother Manfred, the Pope, and most of southern Italy, who all thought he should sit this one out. In fact, they liked him so little that, when Conrad was crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 1254, the Pope immediately excommunicated him, which meant Conrad needed to spend the next 6 years trying to conquer southern Italy, which he did with great success, culminating in the Battle of Benevento, where his forces defeated those loyal to his brother and the Pope. Yet somehow this went badly, resulting in Conrad's death and paving the way for Manfred to become king of the two Sicilies and usher in a golden age of prosperity and culture before getting stabbed in the gut by his own son and losing his kingdom to Aragon. So, Classic royal drama. Just another day in the HRE where everyone's always yelling at each other and no one remembers why they re friends. If you think that's bad, though, wait till you hear about the Kingdom of Israel. Despite having some of the most famous stories in human history attached to it, the nation of Israel was never a real powerhouse. Its territory was constantly occupied by neighbors, its population was tiny, and its existence was often threatened by extinction. But no matter how much trouble they found themselves in, the Israelites never blamed themselves. No, that distinction belongs to God, who, despite creating such a powerful people, couldn't be bothered to, help them out every once in a while. Take, for example, the Book of Judges, which lays out the recurring pattern of the Israelites doing whatever they could to annoy God. God getting annoyed and selling them into slavery. The Israelites realizing what jerks they've been, asking God for forgiveness. God saying, sure, but go suffer a little bit more first, and then giving them a new judge to lead them to victory. It was a cycle that continued through the Old Testament and into the real world. The Israelites were conquered by the Assyrians in 722 BCE, but not before a faction in the north called Israel revolted against Assyrian rule, which ended up working out great for them because, rebel plus noun equals win. However, in 687 BCE, God got tired of Israel's insolence and gave them to their neighbor, the Kingdom of Judah, ensuring the entire nation would never again be free. And thus, just like that, the nation founded by Abraham was no more, at least partially due to God playing hot potato with his chosen people. Click here to watch one of these next videos and let us know in the comments section if history has ever gone hilariously wrong in your own life. Did you accidentally break a vase instead of breaking someone's heart? Did your boss think you were a different employee and yell at you for doing nothing? Did you eat the last Pop-Tart and then blame it on your dog? Has anyone ever yelled at you for being naked in public? We want to hear your oopsie.